Hello, everybody, and welcome into my latest live broadcast. It is Thursday, the 8th of June, 2023. My name is Kerry Holzman, and today I've got a review of a mini PC. It's a mini gaming PC, and it's one I've been really looking forward to for a while now since I heard about its specifications early on about what they were intending to release. They, of course, being Beelink. If you recall, we did a review of the Beelink GTR6. So just to rattle your memory, this has been one of my favorite mini PCs, specifically if you need the power for gaming. And we changed the cover on it to red, if you remember. And this is what it looks like, a little bit longer and a lot of ports on the back and just very well engineered. It doesn't look like any other mini PC, in my opinion. It really stands out. And I appreciate that. I appreciate when a machine isn't in a cookie cutter box. And you can watch that review that we did on this a couple of months ago. This was a Ryzen 6000 series chip with a Radeon 660M. Now we have the GTR7, and as you can see, I've left it all sealed up so we can do the full unboxing and share this experience together for the very first time on this live unscripted video that has no edits. Everything is real, and the experiences or the false assumptions I might make as I'm figuring out what's in the box. I don't do any preparation for this as a computer technician in the real world. You don't get that opportunity. When a client calls you to service a computer, you go out and service the computer. You don't have time to research it. You just understand what's the problem, what kind of computer is it, you bring the tools you think you're going to need, and you're off to work. And you try and do that as many times as you can per day to make as much money as possible and to help as many customers as you can help. So that's my world, and I'm trying to bring that into the YouTube arena here because there's just so many enthusiasts and hobbyists that don't really reflect anything practical, pragmatic, or realistic in the terms of real life obstacles that get in the way from time and money primarily, to the reason why we make that investment and what are the challenges that are involved. It's not always that we have this ability to study 6 hours for a job that we're going to bill an hour for, or we'll quickly go out of business. So we hit the ground running, we use our brain, we use our experience, and we get the job done, hopefully right the first time. We get it done efficiently so the customer isn't paying some excessive bill. If I'm studying, nobody's paying for my time to study, so that money has to come from somewhere. It's not fair to charge the customer for it. And as a result, I'm bringing this format to YouTube because this is what I am accustomed to in my world of doing actual work versus just making videos for a living. Now, when it comes to machines like this, these are primarily for hobbyists and enthusiasts, for home users that primarily want a game, though not to say they wouldn't have a business use. Depending on what kind of work the business is doing, a little machine like this could actually be a great alternative to a giant desktop tower computer. Certainly is possible. Barnsey Breaker with 119 Norwegian kroner has contributed in Super Chat. He says, good evening from Norway. I hope you are doing well. Here's a little contribution to support the channel. Thank you, Barnsey. And Patrick Rusas says, greetings from New York. Scott says hello. And hello to everybody else. I just hit the ground running on this video today, so we'll keep it running here. Paul O'Brien contributes 10 euro. He says, here's to get yourself and the camera girl nice tattoos. Wait a minute. Oh, no, that's not. I see. Camera girl has nice tattoos, but you can get yourselves a drink after the live stream. That's how we owned up the tattoos. All right, so the GTR7, shall we unbox it? I'm kind of excited to, I'm genuinely excited to see what's in the box. Kate Cordius Technology with $2 super chat says, thank you for all you do and teach. I know Kate Cordius Technology has a question about network attached storage. We're going to be doing a network attached storage video, I think on Saturday or Sunday. And if you will remind me, if you're in the chat room Saturday or Sunday, it's probably going to be Sunday. That'd be a great time to ask your network attached storage question, because the video will be about network attached storage. All right. Speaking of which, there's the network attached storage now.
Yeah.
Just set it anywhere. All right. Yeah. It's getting work done over here. Called work.
Yeah.
If this place was empty, I'd have no work. And then what? My video content today is nothing. All this stuff I make video content, once the video content is made, where's the stuff go? It's got to go somewhere. So, hence the nightmare. All right. This one apparently is in dark green. I say that because it's got a sticker on the top of the box that says dark green. See? No rehearsal necessary. Now, before I unbox it, I want to take a look at the Beelink website. I don't think this is available on Amazon just yet. This is a brand new product. In fact, I think I might be the first to do a review on it. So I'm hoping I am. If not, I know I'm one of the first. There's something good about being the first here on YouTube, where there's so many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of channels to do something unique that nobody else has done yet. You can imagine it's quite rare. Ben Laird contributes £5, joining us from Scotland. Thank you, Ben. Thank you for supporting the channel, my friend. All right, let's take a look at Beelink website, because as I mentioned, right now, as far as I know, that's the only place you can order this, and it's the only place I can find any information. And let's see what they have to say about it. The GTR7 is a perfect combination of performance and silence. Okay, good. Scroll down here. It's got an AMD Phoenix Ryzen 9 7940HS. That's a pretty high-end processor. The number 9 is the biggest number of the processors that Intel and AMD make. So in that family of 9 series, you're at the enthusiast level of processor, the expensive and powerful level. It can go up to 5.2 gigahertz, has 8 cores and 16 threads, and only draws 65 watts of power. That's pretty impressive for that much power output. Now, the big deal is the RDNA built-in APU, the graphics, the Radeon 780M that make this the gaming PC that it is. That graphics graphics chip has 12 cores at 2800 megahertz, and that's going to make respectable gaming possible. A lot of times on these mini PCs, you're sacrificing your graphics, and they make great home computers and general web surfing and business computers, but in gaming, they can leave a little to be desired, especially if you want to play the latest games. This should be able to do that without a problem. Also supports AV1 encoding and decoding, which is good for a guy like me, where I want to do video encoding, and having AV1 available is supposed to make rendering times and file sizes much shorter. It's got dual channel DDR5. It's not DDR4, it's DDR5 at 5600 megahertz. That adds to your performance. Not only is it not DDR4, it's in dual channel. These two things help keep things quick. When it comes to the solid state drive, a lot of the mini PC manufacturers cheapen out. They give you a small solid state drive and have the nerve to call it a gaming PC, when you and I both know the games that you're playing are massive. You're going to fill up that 500 gig drive in no time. So here, not only are you getting 1 terabyte of storage as your base, you're also getting Gen 4 NVMe. So that's going to be upwards of 7,000 megabytes per second of input output. We'll check that, see what we're actually getting. 7,300 is about the peak on the expensive drives, and somewhere over 5,000 for the more budget drives. I don't know which one they've included, but we will check that out. Now, when it comes to cooling, they have something called MSC cooling technology. They've designed a system fan as well as a CPU silent fan. This thing has 2 fans to keep it running cool and quiet. And we'll put that to the test as well. They kind of explain how that all works and some of the tests that they've run on it and results that they've got. We've got that whole plethora of input-output ports. We've got 2 2.5 gig LAN jacks here. I need to make this bigger. I can't really see. Let's see. Okay. two USB 2.0s, two USB 3.2s at 10 gigabits per second. We've got a USB 4 that does 40 gigs per second. Woo, right there. Look at that. Type C. This is our input. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Even that is different. We've got an HDMI 2.1. We've got a DisplayPort out 1.4. Again, the 2.5 gig LAN, dual LAN. We've got 3.5 millimeter speaker output right here. And we have another USB 4 40 gigabits per second port. That's no joke, folks. That's faster than anything I've got on a desktop. So I'm pleased to see this I/O. Now down here, we've got a power button. We've got a, it looks like a reset, perhaps, for the BIOS. We've got another USB 3.2 10 gig per second and a Type C 10 gig per second on the front. And yet we have another speaker output on the front. So why are there two speaker outputs? Well, I'm glad you asked. The idea is, much like a desktop, you plug your speakers into the back and you plug your headphones into the front. And anytime your headphones are plugged into the front, the speakers in the back automatically disconnect. It auto senses when you have headphones plugged in the front, and it knows you don't want both at the same time. So by unplugging the headphones, the speakers are activated. By plugging in the headphones, the speakers are deactivated. Then you're not switching plugs out all day. Very clever design, very welcome design. Now check out the power cable. It's got a revolutionary magnetic charging technology. It's got a magnetic chuck design to embed into a small magnetic connector that fits the surface completely flat. It has a large contact area. It is plugless. So that's unlike anything I've ever seen before. It also has a fingerprint scanner. Now, I personally don't use those, but if you wanted to be able to lock out your computer and sign into it, not with a password, but rather just scanning the tip of your finger, that is an option you may choose to activate if you want to. Once again, there's the explanation of the headphone jack and the speaker output jack and how those work. And then it comes in multiple colors. It's green, blue, space gray, and Hermes orange. So I think they're hitting this one out of the park. I think everything that I'm looking at looks great. I don't see any flaw. I don't see any way to make it any better. But now, does the reality match the marketing? That's what I want to know. Because according to this marketing, all I can say is, wow, it's firing on all cylinders here. So check it out. First, I have to figure out how to open the box. Usually, with Beelink, they have these sleeves. Oh, it's got a cool little dragon design on the front. Or a phoenix. I guess it's a phoenix, not a dragon. I don't know. It's a fire-breathing bird. All the same. It's a phoenix dragon. It says hello. Hi there. We've got our owner's manual. Don't need that. We've got these pull tabs so we can lift the machine out. Hey, that's a thank you for that, Beelink. You've seen me struggle sometimes to get these out of the box. That was a simple quarter penny solution to that problem. Done with that. Ooh, this thing is heavy. Holy cow. They're not messing about. Oh, this is a very different design for them. I'm going to bring this up to the camera so you guys can see it up close. Oh, very nice. Okay. If it's possible, I'm liking this even more. Okay, so here's the top. Here's the front. I love the GTR badging here. I absolutely love that they kept this on the side, which was on the GTR6. Again, no other mini PC has a look like this. You know what I don't see on here? I don't see any of the Go Faster stickers, the tacky stickers. But I just found them on the bottom. That's where they belong. That's where you should keep them. Good. Whoever made that decision, give them a raise. On the back, look at all the ports. Matches exactly what we saw on the pictures, so no surprise there. And then this right here, how does this work? There's a rubber plug that I guess is just for shipping only. I can't imagine why you would ever want to put that back. And your power connector is going to fit right in there, and it's going to magnetically attach and sit flat so you don't have the cable sticking out the back. Once again, well thought out. Beelink has also been very considerate to the owner of the computer by making it easy to get into. Look, we don't have to remove the rubber feet to get to the screws, and we don't have to get a spudging tool to pry open when we've got this little silicon pull tab right here. So after we remove the 4 screws, we pull on the silicon tab and the whole bottom of this comes up. I think this is all metal. I don't think there's any plastic. That's maybe why it weighs so much. Don't drop this on your toe. That's all I'm saying. Okay. I'm speechless. Everything looks fantastic. There's the fingerprint reader right there. Okay, so in the box, got an HDMI cable and a very short HDMI cable. So I guess if you wanted to mount this behind your monitor, yeah, there's a VESA mount. I never do that, but it's an option for you. Now here's what I'm interested in, this power adapter. Oh, okay. So the power adapter, first of all, I want to get the plastic off of it. I wasn't quite sure what the power adapter was going to look like. It was going to be a big brick or if it was going to be like a USB style. But I'm pleased to see this. Sometimes getting the plastic off of the product is more difficult than setting up the product, or it's the most difficult part of setting up the product in some cases. But this power adapter can get warm. Most power adapters do. Like you don't want that plastic on there insulating the heat from escaping. So I'm going to bring this over to the camera here. We'll give you a close-up of this very, very unique power adapter here. You can see the voltage and amperage and wattage listed there. You can freeze frame the screen if you need to while it's focused. And then there's our unique power connector there that's going to fit in magnetically. Come on, how cool is that? Look how small that is. I'm digging it. I am digging it. I think Intel could be schooled here on making smaller power adapters and thinking outside of the box with how they're connecting. All right, we're going to plug this in right here. We're going to plug this in over here, which I guess goes on like, I've never done this before. Okay, so just, yeah, it just sits right in there. It's a magnet. It works like magnets work. Let's get this out of the way. Let's get all of this out of the way. So over here. Don't need that anymore. You don't need this. I've already shown you the GTR6. So we'll just get that moved out of the way as well. All right, now, see, I don't need these cables or this bracket, so they'll go back in the box. There's also some screws in here, and those screws, I'm sure, are for the VESA mount. You've got to be able to screw it to the back of the monitor. Or I suppose you could even screw it to a wall, hanging off the wall if you wanted to. Keyboard and mouse, I'll use one of the USB 2 ports back here. I don't want to waste a high-speed port. And of course, now that we've got that new Wi-Fi 7 router, we can test, see if we're getting 2.5 gig speeds out of the built-in network adapters on these mini PCs. So it doesn't matter which one of these LAN jacks we use, either one. You will notice the LAN does light up even though the machine is off. And that's pretty typical. Doesn't mean the machine is on, it's just in a standby state. And that usually means you can wake it on LAN, things like that. And that's usually what that's indicative of, but nothing to freak out about. We've not turned it on yet. So I've got HDMI plugged in. I've got the keyboard plugged in. You know, now that I think about it, I don't want to plug the network in yet. We're going to leave the network cable disconnected because I need to set up Windows for the very first time. And if we have the network connected, then it's going to want us to create a Microsoft account instead of just using a local user account. So, are we ready to fire this up? Gil Garcia says, did you hear back from DHL about your computer? I did, and I was on the phone with them before I went live here today. DHL has lost the package, and they said that's it. They're not going to look for it any further. As far as they're concerned, it vanished into space. They don't seem to care if an employee stole it. They don't take the investigation any further. They give me a case number. I give the case number to the sender, and then the sender files a claim with the case number to be compensated and take advantage of the insurance. And I'm waiting to hear back from the sender if they're going to refund my money or send me another unit. I hope they're going to send me another unit. This is still playing out, and they're on a different time zone, so they're asleep right now while we're doing this. And I will usually hear from them in the wee hours of the morning, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, upwards to 7 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. And then their day's over and my day starts. So I have no idea at this point, but I was on the phone with DHL expressing my disappointment at their process, at what a waste of time it was, reminding them that I'm just a customer. I ordered a product. It shouldn't be my job to investigate why it didn't arrive. Nobody's paying me for this. I have work to do. It should be between you and the sender. I said, you guys have one job, you know, you take a package and deliver a package. That's all you do. And if a package winds up missing, that should be very embarrassing for you. And you should want to know exactly where that package went. And at the very least, know who the last person was who scanned that package. What's the point of having a tracking number if the tracking number doesn't tell you where the package is? That kind of defeats the whole point of having a tracking number. So if it was me in charge at DHL, I'd be shaking down some folks over there, specifically the last person who scanned it. Whether it was stolen or misplaced, I don't know. Somebody screwed up and somebody should be held accountable. They don't seem interested in that. Apparently they lose a lot of packages, and so they just write it off and move on to the next thing. They don't care. In the meantime, it's been over a month. I still don't have the product, and that means you guys don't have your video. So I'll let you know how the process goes from here, but it's my understanding there's no more investment of time that I have to do. I shouldn't have had to have done any. I'm just the customer. Now it's between the sender and DHL, and the sender has to negotiate with me on if they're going to send me another product or refund my money. I don't want the money. I want the product. So, crazy. Very, very strange. I will say DHL has been excellent. Excellent. I've never had a problem with them. They've been the best shipper I've ever worked with. So it's that much more shocking that this was handled so poorly, right? It's like either they do it perfect or they screw it up and make it a total nightmare. They don't seem to have a middle. It's very strange. And I told them that. You know, I expect a company that's this good, when they have a mistake, that they're that good at correcting the mistake. But no, they swing that pendulum right to the other side to just catastrophically horrible, embarrassing. And, you know, I told them, if you guys just started a shipping company and this is all new to you, I'd understand. But you guys have been doing this a long time now. You should have processes in place where I don't have to guess what's happening. You should be telling me. I shouldn't have to pull information from you guys. Anyway, yeah, so. Mark Gain says that's a pretty solid looking mini PC. I know, right? Just anxiously awaiting turning it on here for the first time. Dwayne Blackwelder says having the power connection like that makes more room for output ports and might simplify the engineering of the board layout, I think. Don't know, don't care. All I can tell you is I like it, right? The engineering side of things, the cost, that's not my problem. Which computer was it? But DHL is the NAD 9 from Minis Forum that I paid for a month and a half ago, and I still don't have it. NAD 9. John says it looks blue, not green. It's no, it's definitely green in person. It's almost olive drab kind of a green. What? What do you think it is? What would you call that shade? It's definitely not blue.
Well, it's kind of a dark turquoise.
That's a tough sell. Turquoise is a very unique.
There's hints of green and there's hints of blue, but it's darker. So I would say it more leans in the green direction.
It's almost sea green.
No, sea green is light. That's dark.
Not the sea green I'm thinking of.
Kind of a dark.
Ron Barnish says AliExpress has the Beelink GTR7 for $750. Yeah, good luck if you have any support. I mean, if you buy from AliExpress, you're on your own. So, well, you might save some money. You might regret it. I would buy direct from the manufacturer if I'm dropping that kind of coin because I want some peace of mind. You've seen the stuff I've gotten from AliExpress, and it's like shopping at somebody's, the guy with the trench coat goes, hey, you want to buy a watch? That's like a modern day AliExpress, or AliExpress is a modern day version of that. In my opinion, it is shady, very shady. And your delivery is going to take upwards of a month before you get anything. But you can save money. So just choose whichever way fits your particular preferences. I wouldn't order anything I cared about from AliExpress. This is way too expensive and way too important for me personally to put that kind of money down to save how much? How much are you really going to save? And you have no peace of mind and your delivery is going to take forever. Okay, let's see. Aqua. Would you say aqua?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect color. Aqua. Aqua green. Good choice. All right, let's fire it up. Let me go over to my HDMI input over here, and then I'm going to take camera 1 and put it in the corner, as I normally do at this stage. We'll move that over. Oh, about like so. That ought to be good enough. And I'm going to hit the power button here, which power button lights up. I hear the fan spin up briefly. And here we go. We're off to the races. I like how much innovation there is in this. It's not just the same old cookie cutter stuff where they're just upgrading the processor, from one model to the next. They've really redesigned everything here. I also like that the case appears to be metal and not plastic, and that gives it a little bit more substance. It makes it feel like it's like you're getting your money's worth out of it. Now, we got a weird video thing happening here. I've never seen this happen before. It looks like it's in 3D mode. It's like I got what do they call that in 3D? Side by side or up and down 3D? SPS, side by side, and the up and down is, I don't know. I'm going to unplug the HDMI cable and plug it back in because I don't know what the heck that's all about. Still doing it. It's almost like it's misdetecting the video display properly. I don't know what's going on with that. What does it say? I can't even read it. It's so tiny. I got to walk up to the screen, folks, and put my glasses on. System cleanup action. Enter system out-of-box experience. System preparation tool. Okay, that's weird. I've never seen a system start up like that before. It's almost like it wasn't finished. I don't think it was supposed to go out like this. But this is a very early release. Okay, there it goes. It's restarting. Like I said, I'm one of the very first people to get one of these. And so it may be possible that there's a little polishing that remains to be done. So I'm gonna give them a pass on that. So far, that's not a big deal. And let's see if we get a repeat, or does it fix itself here on the reboot? Nope, we're still doing the same thing. That is weird. What is going on? Very strange. Very strange. We'll take a look at it here and see what's happening. Ron says Amazon does have the GTR7. That's got to be a pretty new listing. Do me a favor and share that link in the chat if you would. And then I can add it to the video notes when we're done here today. If you want to take advantage of the sale, though, you've got to order it from Beelink. That information is in the video description below this video, of course. Okay, so I'm going to just do this while it's in this funky mode, I guess. English, yes. United States, yes. US, yes. I add it, no. Accept. So that's how it should have started. It should not have started with that other screen. It should have started right here. So it seems like it was a little, they weren't quite done with the out-of-box experience setup. They had one more reboot to do. And then that's what should have been system imaged on these. So I'll let them know, at least in mine, it wasn't done yet. They had one more reboot to go. Not a big deal, but it just, you know, makes it look like somebody didn't quite know what they were doing or didn't finish what they started. Yeah, it's pretty weird that the monitor is so confused with regards to the resolution. HDMI should auto correct this. I'm going to just unplug it from the back of the capture card, which I think is it this plug here? No, it's probably, gosh, now I don't know which one it is. Is it this one? We might lose some video as I do this. Yeah, I got the right one. And then we'll plug that back in and see if it resynchronizes. Still doing the same thing. That's all right. We'll figure it out here in a minute. This is not a showstopper. It's just unusual and unexpected. And for all I know, my capture card could need to be rebooted. It's never happened before, but it's possible. I don't want to necessarily put the blame on the GTR7, but I'm not quite sure where the problem is. But either way, it should be something simple. Let's see if I can change the resolution on this. Display settings. Can't read that from here. I gotta walk up to the screen and see what this says. It says we're in 1920 by 1080. That is correct. So why is it so squished? Somebody's doing some squishing. I'm wondering if it's my capture card that's doing that. I have an idea. I'm going to unplug it from that port on the capture card, and we're going to use a different port on the capture card just to see if it's the port. If it's the port, then that's on me. It's not on them. But if it does the same thing on the other port, it's less likely. Although it still could be the capture card, it'd be less likely. So I've just taken the cable that's plugged into the close-up camera, and then let's activate that. No, same exact thing. Let's try, let me shut it off and turn it back on so it can auto-detect the other port on the capture card. Is that not going to work for us? they may not have the power button configured the way I like to configure it, which is to do a power off. So I will make another change there. Sometimes that's disabled in order to prevent anybody from accidentally turning the machine off by, picking up the machine and hitting the power button. But it's my preference, and you can adjust the power button behavior in Windows. Let's go to start. Shut this down completely. And wait for this to turn off. I'm waiting for the power light to go off on the unit, which it just now did. I'm going to turn it back on so it gets to renegotiate from a power on to this different port on the capture card to see if it still negotiates it back to that half screen. So we're off to a good start here. We've got the full screen logo. And if that's the case, we'll chalk it up to my capture card and not Beelink. No, it's something funky happening here. All right, I'm going to try one other thing, which is to use a display port to HDMI output. So instead of using this HDMI, we'll use DisplayPort and we'll adapt it to HDMI, and let's see what the screen looks like after that. Still looks exactly the same. And let's shut it down again and let it auto detect. Because once it sets the screen that way, you really need to power down and then bring it back up. I'm just wondering right now if there's a communication issue between my capture card and this video card. That's very unusual. I've never seen that behavior before from any computer ever, but I've also never had this processor before. And, I don't know, is it a BIOS related issue? Is it something with the capture card? I have no idea. So we'll figure this out together. These videos are live, unrehearsed, and unscripted. So these are real world experiences, whether they're good or bad. We are universally getting the same squished screen every single time. That is so weird. So weird. Let's see. Let's try something here. Let's go to display settings. And let's change our resolution to like literally anything else. It's still refusing to go full screen. So try this. Advanced. No. Go back over here. Yeah, that is so weird. Let's go to the display manager or the device manager. And then let's go to display. Should be, oh my gosh, everything is so super tiny. I don't know how I'm supposed to see anything. Display adapters. I think that's what that says. Let's uninstall it. Let's start there. Hello. Well, that seems happier. And let's reboot and let it reinstall the display driver. Maybe we had a little corruption. I don't know. Let's see what happens on reboot here. Back to square one there. So there's a suggestion that it could be OBS. But the thing about that is, with OBS, I've switched inputs. So, maybe the software, the OBS software that I use for broadcasting needs to be restarted for some reason. It's just that it's hard to know, is it coming from the video card, the captured card, or the captured software? Given that when we unloaded the driver, it went full screen, sort of implies to me, oh, you know what it could be? Maybe our frequency is too high. Let me go full screen out here. Maybe this is trying to send it out at 120 hertz or something. Right click. Display settings. Okay, so we've messed with the resolution. That didn't help anything. We need to go to advanced display settings here. Advanced display. Cannot read any of that. Let's see what it says. It says 8-bit color depth. Oh, what's my refresh? 60 hertz. I think 60 should be fine. Change adapter properties for display 1. Might need to put it at 30. I have to keep walking back and forth. I'm sorry, it's just so small. Let's see. List all modes. I guess we want to go to monitor right up here. And it's detecting that as 60. Let's drop it to 30. Well, that didn't help. Certainly wouldn't be any lower than that. Wouldn't be 50. No, it's definitely not that, Carrie. An 8-bit color should be fine. Driver's pretty new. No, none of that's helping. Seemed promising. Kind of felt like it was right. Install modes. Huh. Interesting. I'll go to the opposite end of the spectrum just to see. Nope. Put it all back the way it was. Something else is happening here. Well, I will tell you, I am baffled. Dumbfounded, if you will. Okay, so for my experimentation, I'm going to unplug the monitor that I watch. So we're going to take this plug back out and put it where it goes. Before I confuse myself too much, this will go back into the close-up camera. In fact, we'll plug it into this close-up camera over here where it belongs. And then, let's see, what was I going to do? Oh, yeah. I'm going to just take my feed. You guys aren't going to see any difference, but I'm going to unplug the monitor that I use. Pay attention to what's going out. Plug this directly into the monitor without going through the capture card or the OBS software. And it is displaying properly. It is full screen, and it looks exactly like it's supposed to look. Okay, so that implies to me that that this is not a problem necessarily with the GTR7, but rather it's a problem with my capture card, or that I may need to reset the streaming computer. That's possible. It could be some kind of glitch that's occurred. But I have to stop the stream to do that, so I don't want to jump into that just yet. So I'm going to take my monitor, plug it back in so I can see what you guys are seeing. Plug that in right over there. That puts that back the way it was. And it says no signal. What does it say? Oh, because I don't have anything plugged into it. So then if I plug this cable back into it, right here and right here, should get a signal in a moment. When I select that input on OBS, I have to do that too. Yeah, so it's consistent. So I'm going to try simply restarting OBS. So bear with me for a second. I'm going to, the stream isn't going to end. It might look like it's going to end, but it's coming right back. So just stand by. Okay, so I've closed OBS and restarted it, and we're exactly where we were before. So the next step would be to power down the streaming computer and power it back up. Because these videos are live and unscripted, we have to deal with these things, you know, just as you would in real life. Same as you. So it's great when you can edit and polish and take all the little blips and bumps out of it, but that may give the viewer a false expectation. And I want to show that these kind of problems are usually not a big deal, at least this kind of a problem. And I know that because I just plugged into the monitor directly and it worked like it should. So something going through the capture card is having an issue in how it's translating the signal. So I'm going to ask you to please stand by. Again, I'm not going to end the broadcast. It's just going to go black for as long as it takes for me to shut down and restart and reconnect, and then I'm coming right back. So again, I'll ask that you bear with me on this. It is live, this is real, and we'll be back as soon as we can. Just give me 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, however long that is. Stand by. Getting intriguing. It's a little embarrassing, to be honest, because this machine is so awesome. It's the last thing I would expect. I'm hoping maybe it's just a simple driver issue. That's my next guess. And yeah, we'll find out here in just a minute as I bring things back up on this side. Let's see. Am I back? I think I'm back. Yeah, looks like I came back. Okay, so my next guess is going to be driver issue. And it's universal regardless if I'm going out of the HDMI port or the display port or in the first port or the second port of the capture card. That's universal. Restarting OBS made no difference. Completely powering off the streaming machine and bringing it back up made no difference. So I'm going to go back to this machine. That something on this machine is not communicating properly. I'm not sure why, but it does. When I plug into a monitor, it's perfectly fine on a monitor. So I think what I want to do And this is one of those things where if I had unboxed this yesterday and set it all up, I could have gone through all this. But I feel like it'd be doing you a bit of a disservice if I did that. It's one thing to explain it, it's another thing to experience it. So I'm glad you're here to experience this with me together. And what does Old Man 55 say? Check the new Windows 11 screen location. Well, again, when I plug it into the monitor, it appears just fine. So I think I'm going to do that momentarily here. So bear with me again, because your vision, your view isn't going to change. In fact, I can go full screen on camera 1. Well, at least that way you can watch what I'm doing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug the HDMI cable from there. I'm going to take the cable out of the streaming computer that I use to monitor the feed. And I'm going to plug that directly into the GTR7. And that gives me a full screen display that you can't see, but I'm looking at a complete, perfect display. It is working as it should. So this is not a problem you would likely experience. It's a problem that I have as a streamer, apparently. But I think it's still video driver related. I don't know what else to think at this point. So what I'm going to do is see if we have a newer driver available. So for that, I'm going to plug in the internet now, because we're ready for that. And I'm going to just plug that into the back here. Either of these ports to work equally well. And here, I want to see that little globe. Well, you can't see it. I want to see the little globe on the bottom right become a little screen. There it goes. So now it's connected to the network. And let's see. Start without my data. Confirm and start browsing. Okay, so now I've got Edge up. And I'm going to go to Windows Update first and foremost, because this may be something that just fixes itself through an update. But it sure is easier for me so I can see the screen in its entirety than getting just that half screen. So you guys get to see me full screen, but you can't see what I'm seeing because of the situation here, but I'll just do my best to describe it. So right now we're checking for updates. It looks like it has automatically set the date and time, as I expect it would. And there are a ton of updates waiting. It looks like we've got a Razer Inc. So something from Razer is on here. We have a cumulative update for .NET Framework. That's not going to help us. Security update for Windows 11 22H2. It's nice to know this has Windows 11 22H2. The Windows Malicious Software Removal Kit, Security Intelligence Update, cumulative update again, and another update. So we'll let these updates install. I don't see any driver updates, but let me go to Advanced Options and then go to Optional Updates. It says there are 2 optional updates available. One is a cumulative preview for Windows. One is a driver's update. It's for the Intel network interface card. But you know what? I'm going to just grab those anyway, because at this point, I want every option off the table. You never quite know, even though an update may not appear to be for the thing you think it's for, or be related to the thing you're trying to resolve. Sometimes it can be, and you want the updates anyway, so just get them all out. And then we'll see if that makes any difference at all. So while we're waiting for the updates, if you have any questions for me, I'm looking into the chat room over here on the tablet, which also enables me to get another view of what you guys are seeing. So thank goodness I have this, I'll tell you that. And my tablet is in a very low res mode, so I'm going to increase my resolution. It always defaults to auto, and I always have to go to advanced 1080. And then my picture doesn't look blurry on the tablet anymore. It gets super sharp. There, now it looks good. Jamie McGregor with a £5 contribution says, when you had the display settings up, the color format looked weird. YBC 444. It should be RGB as far as I know. So when you're dealing with color formats like on my cameras don't offer RGB. They offer the exact same. It's photography stuff, cinematography stuff. When we did 8-bit color, 10-bit color, and then the color format we're using. So I know exactly what you're saying, and I was specifically looking at that. I don't believe RGB is an option, but let's go ahead and do these updates, see if we have any impact from that. And then barring that, we go back and take another look at that. Once again, it's outputting to the monitor here just fine. It's just something going through the capture card isn't processing correctly. And that's a professional capture card. That's a $900 HDMI capture card. And I've never seen this before. And we are dealing with brand new hardware. So we could have some out of the gate learning curve, little teething issue here maybe. Where is the sale price? I think the price is the sale price. That's my understanding. David Graham wants to know if we can try the AMD Adrenalin drivers. One thing at a time, please. We're going to do these updates first to see if the problem auto-corrects. And then, if it does not, we can talk about what we can do after that. There's, just a limit to your imagination in that regard. And so we have to keep some semblance of order. And when I'm working on a customer's computer, one of the worst and most annoying things is to have somebody around you telling you what to try. So let's wait and see what our results are before we decide what to do next. Oftentimes I see people obsess about a process. Do we do this? And then if that doesn't work, do this. And if that doesn't work, do this. And if that doesn't work, do this. And it never ends, and it drives me insane to listen to somebody's brain go down a spiral. I say, try the first thing and don't worry about what to try next until you get those results. Because if the results fix it after then all the thought and effort you put into this and this and this and this and this and this and this was all a complete waste of time. And it just added to the stress, and it becomes overwhelming. So, take a deep breath, relax, and understand that there are hundreds of people watching the stream, and I can't listen to everybody all at the same time. And let's take a look at what my results are. And then if we don't get the results we want, I'll go back through the chat and I'll look through what suggestions you have. And obviously the suggestions that are the most recent are the ones I'm going to see first. So if you are telling me now and I don't go back and look at the chat for 10 more minutes, your chat may be completely off the screen. I won't be able to scroll back and see it. So you do yourself a favor by waiting if you want me to see your suggestion and determine if I need your suggestion, and then apply it at that point. All right. And that'll take some stress off of me, and you guys won't get frustrated that you think I'm not listening to you. David said the pre-orders were $100 off. Okay. And there's live Windows training with Doug Betts. Hey, Doug, good to see you in here, my friend. He says, I totally agree. One step at a time. Yeah, you can always tell the people who do this from a living for the people who don't, because there's a certain too many cooks in the kitchen thing that can happen when you've got people breathing down the back of your neck when you're trying to work. It's very disruptive. But at the same time, if the things I try don't work, then I'm going to be asking for suggestions, right? Just so you know. It's just in a certain order. We don't even know if we need those suggestions yet. We probably will. But how about a little positive thinking? If you haven't subscribed or checked out Doug Betts' channel, I strongly and highly recommend it. Over at Live Windows Training with Doug Betts, he's got a YouTube channel. He's a working computer technician in the industry, about the same time me, about 3 decades, over 3 decades. And I just really appreciate seeing real working people in the field sharing their experience and their knowledge, just as a counterpoint to the hobbyist enthusiasts, right? Just get a little balance to that seesaw, that teeter-totter. Let's try and get a little balance so the viewers have a choice of the kind of content they want to watch. We are way outnumbered, Doug and I, and the few and the proud that actually do this for a living and then have the madness to come home after work and make videos to do it some more, versus the number of hobbyists and enthusiasts that have no responsibility or accountability and just do it for fun kind of jealous of that, quite honestly. But that's not the way I can pay my bills. And I would prefer to convey more pragmatic, more practical information. So guys like me and Doug, you know, we're the underdogs here on YouTube because we are far outnumbered by the hobbyists and enthusiasts. But we do think it's important that the information from the other side gets conveyed so that the viewer then has the choice and the knowledge to know that there's not just one side of that coin, there's another side of that coin. Then they can have the full and complete information. You get the hobbyists, you get the professional, and you combine those two things, and you're going to be very well equipped in your knowledge. I think Doug would agree. I'm going to speak on behalf of Doug and say he agrees. John Williams says, Doug Betts has the big beast build. He does indeed. Yes, he does. It's in the background of his live streams, just as mine is in the background of mine. We're still waiting on updates over here. We're at 69% of an install, and there's several others waiting or pending install. So this is the worst of it. You know, this is the first round of updates. But at least we have 22H2 on here, so kudos to them for doing that. Live Windows training with Doug Betts says, I don't know why the emojis are on some videos and not others. To the best of my knowledge, Doug, it's a checkbox you have to enable or disable when you're setting up your live stream to allow or not allow the emojis. So if you're just reusing settings from previous live broadcasts, like I do all the time, sometimes I carry over settings I didn't mean to carry over. So you might want to just give that a quick glance where you're setting up who's allowed to chat, things of that nature. And there's a little checkbox. And I think that's what's doing it. Go Live wants to know if that's the best streamer I've had so far. I remember you having problems with the 39X streamer back at Studio A. I had problems with Threadripper too. It was crashing randomly while I was live streaming. But these days in modern computers, I can use almost anything to stream now. Back then it was a little tough. But you know, this technology is evolving very, very quickly. And what was difficult, complicated, and expensive has become easy, inexpensive, and relatively simple. So I can use a little Nook Extreme i5, throw the capture card in it, and you guys wouldn't see any difference in the quality of the stream. I could still have the 4 camera inputs. All the quality would be exactly the same on a box that would be that big. And it's cheap. That whole box cost me, the whole thing was under $700. I mean, the capture card cost $900. So the capture card costs more than the whole streaming computer. But you can get cheaper capture cards. I don't need a Magewell professional capture card. The 4K Elgato 4-port capture card for $199 at Amazon, you guys wouldn't tell a difference, honestly. This is more for professional video production, which is way overkill for what I'm doing here. All right, now it's waiting for me to restart. I'm going to go ahead and hit restart, and it's going to finish installing those updates that it has downloaded. And then we'll see what kind of updates are remaining, and we'll look and see if there's an AMD Adrenalin driver update as well. What do you think? Yeah, it's not a great out of the box experience.
I don't know, I think it's not knowing where to point the finger.
Well-
I mean, I like the shape, I like the weight. It's a different. So I'll have to put.
Given how many computers I put on this bench and plug into that capture card, less likely to think it has anything to do with my equipment.
Well, I agree, but we can't really.
But it's hard to tell. And this is
Right.
bleeding edge. Like this is like day one of this new technology, this new machine. So whether or not it's a teething issue, I don't know, or it's a learning issue on my part, for all I know. Maybe something's different. But when you want the best and you're going to extremes and you're going to be the first, this is normal, unfortunately. You want to buy the cheap $100 boxes that they sell. Those plug it in, they work. They're slow and they're using technology from yesteryear, but because of that, they've matured and been polished. Well, it'll be feedback whether or not they think it's great. Right now, it says updates are underway. We're 7% there on these. It's already rebooted once on its own, so we're on our second reboot now. So it shouldn't be too much longer. %30 there. Okay, it's restarting again. That's unusual. A second restart. Those are some serious updates. Maybe those are going to have an impact on our video output. Farrell Sparky says, good afternoon, Carrie and chat. Hey, welcome in. Ron Barnish says, I love this problem. It shows what Carrie goes through every day. Yes, that is true. And the thing is I've never seen a problem like this before, and I likely won't ever see it again. And it's just one problem in the day. And hopefully, if I'm doing a good job as a technician, I will resolve multiple problems in one day. At least if I want to start turning a profit and helping as many people as I can. And also, people don't want to wait. So there's the pressure to get it done right, to get it done quickly, and to get as much done as possible in that day to earn as much money as possible, help as many people as possible. And then, you just don't get that from the hobbyists and enthusiasts. And I think it's an important factor to consider when we talk about this technology. And especially if you're going to buy something and you're going to live with it, you're probably not going to have the polished, edited video experience that's been scripted and approved by a manufacturer, like a commercial, versus the real world, which is what I'm showing here with no agenda other than to just evaluate the machine. You saw me cut the plastic shrink wrap on it, and we don't know what we're getting our hands into, but we have the confidence that no matter what it is, we can resolve it or get to the resolution, ideally sooner rather than later, but one way or another, we will get there. I can't walk away from a customer and say, I can't help you. Then I'm not a technician. It would be wrong for me to call myself a technician and then turn around and say, I can't fix that, or I don't know how to fix that, so therefore I can't. If you have that attitude, do us all a favor. Don't go into this line of work. You need to see it through. Whatever you commit to, no matter how long it takes, it's an educational experience for you. Customers may not be happy if it takes longer than you think, but you will see it through, even if you have to ask for help from somebody, and you will learn from it. And when you see that problem again, you'll be able to fix it instantly, and people will think you're a genius. All right, we've rebooted. I'm going to go back to Windows Update one more time. Actually, before I do that, just to see if anything's changed. Cable there. And pull it from here, plug this in there, put this back into the streamer over here. Now, we didn't do anything with the video driver on those updates, so I don't expect it to be different, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be different. Sometimes people make assumptions and they don't bother checking things because well, that didn't make any sense, I won't bother checking. And even though you might be right, you might be wrong. And the only way you really know is to take a minute and just check it. Double check yourself, because when things don't make sense, a lot of times the solution won't make sense, and therefore everything is suspect. So let's take a look, see what it looks like. Yeah, it hasn't changed. And that's okay, because if I make a bunch of changes and then I plug it in and it works, how do I know which change is the one that fixed it? How do I learn anything? So we verified what we thought was true and that there wasn't going to be a change, and that's okay. Now I'm going to put things back the way they were again so I can continue my diagnostic process. And it's probably something very simple. And in most cases, it's some button I've got to click or maybe an updated driver. So I think at this point, I don't know what version of AMD Adrenalin we have. And this is from April, so we've been all through May, and now we're into June. There's probably been a new driver, maybe. So we'll type in AMD Adrenalin. And download now. Windows 10, 11 drivers. Okay. That is downloading as we speak. Patrick wants to know if DJ Big Red is enjoying his new PC you built. His PC's not done because he needs Wi-Fi. So I had to order a Wi-Fi card from Amazon. I think that's going to arrive today. Hopefully I can get it installed today or tomorrow and get it to him over the weekend, I think will be the plan. Because I still have to finish the cable management because I want to wait until I get the Wi-Fi card in and know where everything's going to be before I start tying up cables. So right now I'm putting the AMD software on. Oops, something went wrong, it says. Error 182, AMD software installer detected AMD graphics hardware in your system configuration that is not supported. Get more details. And that says the AMD software terminated the install because the detected AMD graphics hardware belongs, because it's embedded. That's why. Or it's because it's for an original equipment manufacturer, which it is, right? Because Beelink is the original equipment manufacturer. So for the solution, please visit AMD Driver and Support and choose Embedded from the product selector. Oh, okay. So we'll go to Driver and Support, and we're going to choose Embedded. AMD Ryzen R Series or V Series, AMD Embedded Radeon. I guess it's just AMD Embedded Radeon. Radeon HD or Embedded E Series or Embedded chipsets. So the embedded chipsets are the 780E, the 785E. We have a, what is this, a 770? Is that what it was? I think it's a 770 embedded. Okay, there's a Windows 8. Oh, no, that can't be right. This goes back to Windows XP. That's old. That can't be. Oh. Embedded Radeon, embedded R series, embedded E series. AMD software, press Alt-R to access the Radeon overlay for in-game configuration. I think I need that. About graphics. Integrated motherboard graphics, maybe? No. Well, this is a little confusing. You think they'd have like an auto sense. Oh. What did I say the graphics on this was? I've already forgotten. Is it on the box? Well, the processor is a 7840HS. Maybe it's something to do with processors with graphics. Here we go. AMD Ryzen processors. Ryzen 9 processors with Radeon graphics. And it scrolls off the screen and I can't read it. There's a fix for that. We'll make it go vertical. That's better. Okay, so AMD Ryzen 9, 7945, 7845. I don't see a 7840, and I don't see an HS. This says 7845HX. Oh, it's a Ryzen 7 processor. It's not a Ryzen 9. That would explain that mystery, right? Ryzen 7, 7840HS. Still doesn't show it. It shows a 7745, a 7735. How much you want to bet that 7735 and 7740 are the same as far as the driver goes? I'm going to guess and say that's probably it. Why am I not seeing it? Well, let's see what happens. Auto detect and install. Let's do that. At least we have an auto detect for the Adrenaline. That's a 40 meg download for the minimal setup, and then it auto detects to determine what actual download you need. So we'll see what this brings us. This looks like it's the same file we already downloaded that wouldn't detect. Now it's giving me an error writing the files, because it says another instance of this is already running. Yeah, it's the same thing we've already tried. Let's try it one more time. I had it left it running in the background so it couldn't install again. So it's scanning. Hey, Cordius Technology contributes $5. He says, I will be ready and waiting for your weekend NAS review. Again, thanks, much appreciated. Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you then. Yeah, we're back to, oops, something went wrong. This is a bit of a puzzle. Let's take a look at Beelink's website. Let's type in GTR7 downloads. See if we bring up anything. Drivers and downloads. Beelink support. We'll type in GTR7. Search. David Graham contributes $5. He says, sorry for the confusion. Oh, it's all good. Doug Betts wants to know if I tested the video system after Windows updates. I did. Isn't DVR mode, can't you rewind the video? Or do I have that disabled? Drivers and hardware shows nothing. No, again, it's a brand new product, so it doesn't look like we have any information support-wise for this unit yet. Let's try looking manually. Mini PC, I see the GTR. Oh, okay, there's a GTR5, GTR4. GTR6. See, the GTR6 has been out for a while, so they've had plenty of time to update the website with drivers and updates, but this is quite a puzzle. Not exactly sure. If I have to get the drivers from the OEM, and the OEM doesn't make the drivers available, or the drivers they have are the drivers we're already using, then the only other thing I can think to do is to look at the options within the AMD software to see if there's some setting I need to turn off. Quick setup, gaming, sports, power saving, standard. I want standard. Continue. Current version is 22.40.03.38. And it says it is up to date. Let's hit check for updates. It's telling us we are current. So let me go over to the settings. Reset. Home reset. 32 gigs of RAM. on the CPU, the Radeon 780M graphics. That's what I was trying to think of. 780M, 780M. A lot of specs there, software driver details. So really nothing I can use. Let me look in preferences. In-game overlay, system tray, none of that. None of that's good. Display, let's see what it says. AMD FreeSync, not supported. GPU scaling, disabled scaling mode, preserve aspect ratio. Custom resolutions, overrides, display overrides. HDCP support. If I turn that off. Warning, disabling HDCP will also disable HDMI link assurance and protected content playback. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I have to restart the computer for that. So while it's restarting, I'm going to go ahead and plug my monitor back in and plug this back into OBS here. And this will go back to the streaming computer. And let's see. Let us see. Go back to. No, how is that even possible? It's bizarre. So what happens if I try and resize the OBS? Oh, yeah, that's not helping at all. We just go full screen on that. Go to the properties of the capture card. And let's do custom resolution. Let's choose 1920 by 10. Oh, it says 2048. That's not right. Let's type in 1920 by 1080. Click OK. That did not help one bit. Let's go back to device default. Click OK. Let's go to, yeah, I don't think it's in the capture card for some reason. It's so configure video. You don't normally have to go into this, but it's saying it's recognizing a 1920 by 1080 signal is coming in at 59.95 hertz at 16 by 9. It says the total scan size is 2200 by 1125, which I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. Hmm. SAR. Can you check outside? It looks like it's got two screens set up. Well, I don't recall seeing two screens offered there, but we'll take a look. That's worth investigating. Right click. Oh, I can't see anything at all. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do once again is go back to camera one. We're going to pull this cable, set it there for now. And we'll grab this cable so as I can seize. Of course, then it displays properly, so. All right, go to properties, display settings. Multiple displays. Let's display 1920 by 1080, 1920. Hmm. I'm going to leave it on this screen. And I want to see if the information on the screen changes. Because it's saying display one is Samsung, and that's the display I've got it plugged into. So when I plug it into the capture card, what does it say my display is? I'm curious if I'll even be able to read it. Let's see. Go over here. See what this says. Yeah, it says Pro Capture. That's correct. Um, it's very difficult to make out what's. Pretty universal as far as that goes. So confusing. Well, thankfully that timed out. I'm having a hard time getting it back. Um, That's weird. It wants to display to the Samsung like wirelessly directly from. It's pretty wicked, but that's not going to help us. I can't even read that checkbox. Ah, it is very difficult with the screen squished down in half like that to read it. So I'm having a really difficult time here when I'm trying to share it with you. So unfortunately, that means I have to go back to camera 1. So we're back to full screen again. And I'm just not sure what the way forward on this is going to be, because when I plug it into the monitor directly, it's perfect. So there's no setting for me to change when it's working. So I need it to be squished in order to figure out what's causing that squish. And it does seem to be in the software of the video driver and how it's translating something. You know, we've hooked up a lot of computers to this capture card over the years, and this is a new problem. And I don't know if it's a default setting out of the box that's causing this, or if there's something related to an update somewhere that needs to be updated. What if we go into the BIOS? Probably the BIOS display is okay, right? Because when we start it, we get the full Beelink screen. And we can go into the BIOS and reset it just for the sake of doing that. I mean, sure, why not? Let's see. Once again, it's extraordinarily difficult for me to see anything here. So I'll do my best and try and get this thing restarted here. It shouldn't be rocket science to find it. Down here, over here, and we'll restart. And once it restarts, I'll start pressing delete on the keypad, the keyboard. See if we get into the BIOS. Delete, 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 delete. Oh, we have a pretty basic looking BIOS here. Full screen on that BIOS. We are plugged into DisplayPort with an HDMI adapter right now. I don't normally do that. But it didn't make any difference, and I just didn't put it back. There's our 2.5 gig Intel i225V Ethernet controllers. South bridge is all our USB. A graphics configuration offers nothing. And the north bridge, just with regards to the memory. So nothing useful there, nothing I need in security, nothing I need in boot. But we can go ahead and load defaults. Restore defaults. And save changes and reset. I don't think this is going to make any difference. Maybe a fresh install of Windows. You should never have to do a fresh install of Windows on a brand new computer. If that were the case, I would recommend sending the computer back. David wants to know if I tried pressing Win, Control, Shift, B. That's a lot of keys. Win, Control, Shift, B. Interesting idea. It's not having any effect, though. Try pressing Windows plus P. Win key. Can't read any of that. Does it let me pick different things? Can't tell. PC screen only. Carlos recommends Intel software video scaling. I have no idea what you're talking about. If you want to walk me through where I'm going to click, I'd be more than happy to humor you. However, that is so vague. I don't know what point of the Adrenaline software or what setting within Adrenaline or what setting within display, or if it's in the settings or the control panel. You're going to have to be click by click on that one because I don't know what it's referencing. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with that. Doug Betts wants to know, does the device manager detect a monitor? Yeah. It detects a Pro capture card. And when I plug the monitor directly in, it detects a Samsung monitor. So that detection is correct. Right? There may be a setting in here somewhere. I can't even tell what I'm clicking on, guys. I'm just like clicking random things here. I mean, it's definitely having an effect, but not the effect we want. Custom color. Yeah, I don't care about custom color. It's not helpful. This doesn't seem to do anything but offer information. I have no idea. I can't even read that, so I have no idea what that's doing. But it's not fixing it. That just seems to be color or brightness. Least of my concerns. Well, that seems to be drinking things. That's not. I don't know, guys. I'm kind of stuck. Yeah, we could uninstall the Adrenaline software for sure. And Of course, that's not going to give us a very fair benchmarking opportunity. So hard to see. We have a bunch of AMD stuff up here. Don't know what's what. Guess I can take all three of them out. Seems a bit like using a hammer. I don't agree on this method you're recommending, but I figure I can't make it any worse. But this is not how I would fix this, me personally. This feels a little blunt. I suspect that there's a checkbox or a button that needs to be selected. If this is in fact the latest driver and we're installing with the latest defaults, then doing this doesn't solve anything. If it puts us back to full screen with the generic Windows driver, it's not a resolution that's acceptable. Like I couldn't leave a customer like that. And if putting the same version of software back on, going back to the same defaults, it's just going to go back to this again. And again, we can try that rather than assume it, but I have every reason to believe, given everything we've tried so far, that that's exactly what's going to happen. So, well, this will get us full screen. It won't get us the drivers. So we're not going to get the video performance we're supposed to get. But at least we'll be able to see the screen. But I couldn't leave a customer like that. And go, oh, by the way, here's your bill. But I'll take out all this AMD software. I think that's pulling the driver out. Again, I can't really tell. Doman says it's probably a capture card conflict, not really to blame Beelink. It's not a common setup. Well, yes and no. You can look through the history of this channel and all the variety of desktops, laptops, and mini PCs we've hooked up to this capture card. And this is the only one that's ever behaved that way. So I'm not quite sure that your statement is entirely unbiased. I'm also, as I already said earlier, this is a problem I'm having because I've got a capture card. When I plug directly into the monitor, I don't have this problem. And I've already said that. And I've already said I didn't know if it's a capture card problem or an OBS problem. But now that I've gone through the capture card and I've gone through OBS, I'm back to the only thing that's causing the problem is the source being the mini PC. And that should be addressed because if every other computer I put on the desk, be it a desktop, a laptop, or a mini, plugs in and works just fine, then there's something different about this configuration that's unlike anything I've ever had on the counter. And it is not related to the capture card or the OBS software, but rather the drivers or how they're interpreting the signal. They're doing it differently. Now, it probably wouldn't affect you unless you're plugging into a capture card. So it doesn't mean that the problem doesn't lie with them. So we've removed the driver. And as you can see, with the capture card, nothing's changed. And with OBS, nothing has changed. The only thing that changed is the driver on this machine. And that's the same driver we can put onto other machines and not have this problem. So if it's a driver problem, it's a driver problem related to the particular hardware configuration and something they'll need to look into. And that's part of the reason why we do these reviews, is so that we can evaluate any potential issues and make sure the manufacturer has an opportunity to address it rather than inconveniencing customers, right? Now, what the manufacturer chooses to do ultimately is up to them. If they choose to say, well, this isn't a big enough problem for us to worry about, if they want to do that, that's their choice. But I would hope that they would be much more concerned and want to figure out why this is behaving so much different than any other Beelink, for example. What's different about it? Whether or not it affects a large number of people or not isn't the point. The point is that it's doing something no other Beelink is doing. And if I were Beelink, I would want to know why, but that's just me. So as you can see, we're full screen. There's no problem with the equipment. And furthermore, you've been watching me on the camera and the cameras are the same. So they're not behaving any differently. Nothing on this end is the only thing that's changed in Studio B is this mini PC. No cables have changed, no configuration has changed, no hardware has changed, no software has changed. And everything's working exactly like it's always worked. The only thing that's not working is the thing that's changed. So it's probably the thing that's changed. There's an old expression, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck and it looks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So this is not that big of a deal, as I mentioned, but the fact that it even exists at all, that's a problem. This should not be a problem, regardless of how unlikely it is. It does not exist with any other computer I've ever put on the bench, ever, including other computers from this very manufacturer. So something's different about it, and we need to figure out what that is. And so I'll reach out to them and I'll ask them, if they'll look into it for me, or maybe it's something they're already familiar with and there's something I have to click. I don't know. But we can take the GTR6 that I just had out and plug it in, and we don't have this problem. We can literally take any computer, any laptop, any mini PC and plug it into this capture card, and it's going to display perfectly like it always has in the history of this channel. I'm not making this up. You've been here the whole time, and the history sits on the YouTube channel. So there's no point in debating that philosophy because the facts are there. So again, plugging it directly into a monitor, it's not a problem, but that's going to make it very difficult for me to do the review in the way that I need to. So I think at this point, it would be unjust for me to review this machine if I can't get it to display correctly. And I think that issue needs to be addressed first and foremost. But everything about this machine I love, and I've been so looking forward to this. So you can imagine nobody's more disappointed than me at not being able to find the solution while I'm live on camera under the pressure of an audience. Well, I don't really have the focus to do the research I need to do, where I can take my time and I don't have to worry about entertaining people or talking to people, keeping them occupied while I'm working. And that makes a very big difference in the quality of my work. You should see how much I get done when the camera turns off. But I appreciate the suggestions, and you can see this is a little frustrating, but it's new. It's a new piece of hardware. It just came out. And if you want to be first with any new technology, be prepared. The pioneers are the ones who discover things, but they can also be the ones that end up with arrows in their back. So right now we're just not running the AMD drivers for the video card. We're just running basic Windows drivers, which means we're not going to get the performance out of this by running basic drivers. It's just not going to perform well. So it would be unjust and unfair for me to review this unit without the drivers installed. Just using generic drivers it's not fair. So yeah, I think the one thing I can do right now, just because I'm curious, is I'll run Crystal Disk Info. I want to see what kind of performance we're getting out of that solid state drive. And our video driver shouldn't have any impact on that. So let's just take a look here. We'll go screen over here so I can see it. And yeah, we'll come over here, come over here. PC testing software, Crystal Disk Mark Portable. And we'll give that a double click. And we'll run Diskmark 64. And let's go off to the races here. We should see between 5,000 and 7,300 on the sequential reads. I have no idea. On the lower end, if they put a lower end, we'll be at 5,000. If they put an upper tier Gen 4, we'll be at about 7,300. And yeah, my concerns were justified here. I'm appreciative they gave us a 1 terabyte storage, and I'm appreciative they've given us 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, but they didn't give us the best storage. If we put a Western Digital SN850X on there, we'll hit 7,300 easy. In fact, we could get one of those Fengjing 2 terabyte Gen 4 drives, which is twice the capacity, and will run at 7,300 megabytes per second. And that would be a great upgrade for this, because that 5,000, you know, it's holding this computer back. I'd like to see that be all it can be, because the rest of this computer is all it can be. And your storage is, you know, especially on a gaming machine, can make all the difference in the world. And I'm a little disappointed. It's twice I'm disappointed now. I'm disappointed I'm having the video issue, and I'm disappointed that I'm having these read speeds so low at Gen 4. I have high expectations for the GTR7 because I love the GTR6 so much, and all the specs looked great. But that's why we test this stuff out. If I'm going to calculate in the added cost of a cheap Gen 4 2 terabyte drive that gives me twice the capacity and another 50% of speed, I mean, I'm already spending this much money. What's spending another $90? You know, I would definitely do that. I'd like to see the computer come with that, quite honestly. I'm glad it's a 1 terabyte, but I'd have been happier if it, at least if it's 1 terabyte, have it run at 7,000 megabytes a second. We'll take a look at what our write speeds are. Those are probably going to be down around 3,000 or something. So once again, it's going to be slower than what it's capable of. Tighter VZ says maybe a Samsung 982 82 terabyte Pro will work better. Yeah, but that's going to cost a bit more. That Fengjing drive was cheap, $90. Gen 4, 7,300 megabytes per second. Yeah, that's my fears right there. Only 3,600 on the writes. So that's not much better than Gen 3. So we're not really getting full advantage of the Gen 4. And this machine is such a leader in the marketplace on the CPU and the graphics that they're using, along with the LAN, the 2.5 gig LAN, and the way the power jack. It's so innovative and it's so novel. And yet they cheaped out on the storage for some reason, for a few dollars on what's already a flagship product. I don't know why a few dollars matters when you're already at this level. If you were scraping the barrel trying to get the price as cheap as possible, I would understand this. But this shouldn't be about that. This should be the flagship. This should be the example for others to live up to and say, hey, sure, you're going to buy the budget line, but maybe someday you can afford this. You know, this is our top tier gaming mini PC. Like, you know, why isn't this setting the example? Little disappointed, a little bit. I just think at this price and for everything else, all the other hardware that's around it, they cut a corner where they shouldn't have cut it. So I think we'll leave it at that for today, because there's not much more I think I can do. I could open it up and change the Gen 4 drive out and reinstall Windows or clone Windows over to it. And that's going to fix this issue with the drive speed. It's a $90 fix, not a big deal. Again, I had high expectations, and honestly, this has disappointed me. But It's a brand new product, and perhaps with this feedback, Beelink will make some adjustments here. So all hope is not lost. Let's give them a chance to respond. Let's see what they have to say, and we'll come back and we'll do a follow-up review and just try this review again once these issues are resolved, and or at least the video display issue. And I will plan on remaking this review and starting it all over again. Only, obviously, it won't be an out-of-box experience. It's going to be, okay, here it is on the table. It works. And then we can run through our tests and check everything out and open it up. I'll save all that so we can experience that together. So thank you for hanging out with me today and this very interesting and unexpected live stream. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, Mitch, the man Morrison, will be here. We're going to do a very bizarre computer build featuring a cube case that has never been seen on YouTube before. As far as I know, no other content creator has built using this case. I had to wait almost a month to get it from China, so I want to hurry up and do it before somebody else does it so I can be first. And then hopefully this weekend we can have some videos on the Synology NAS upgrade. If the weekend permits, if time allows, I'll do that. Otherwise, it'll happen next week during the regular broadcast. So just kind of keep an eye out for those notifications for possible weekend broadcasts. But other than that, thank you to everybody for joining me today. Thank you for the Super Chat contributions, including those from, I don't have my screen ready. David Graham and K Cordius Technology, Jamie McGregor. Thank you as well to Alvin Shaver and Ben Laird, Paul O'Brien and Barnsey Brecker. Thanks, you guys, for supporting the channel. And to all of my members, thank you for being members. All of my moderators in blue, thank you for keeping it civil in the chat room. And for those of you in white, but you're not blue yet, hang in there. Become a regular in the chat. Show that you're kind and supportive. We don't care how smart you are. You don't have to prove or challenge anybody. Just be nice. And when I start to recognize you and I see that you participate regularly in the chats and that you're kind, I'm going to turn you blue. It's just a matter of time. You don't have to contribute financially to be turned blue. You just have to be nice consistently. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you all tomorrow. I hope you'll join me 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. Until then, bye for now. And now I find an outro. Stand by. Let's see, what do I want? Oh, this one seems appropriate.